So today I just wanted to talk about the British-American slasher film April Fool's Day, distributed in 1986 by Vestron Pictures. It definitely is more on the low budget end as far as films are concerned, but it is produced very well. It's very well acted. The film itself was actually directed in England, or rather the film itself was shot in England, and a lot of the actors just fake American accents. I guess you could say it's one of those underdog type horror films. It opens up with a young boy named Marty. He's kind of being ushered into the women's locker room by Carol, which is played by Carolyn Monroe. And obviously she's one of the more gorgeous, popular girls, and he never thought to question to himself, well, what does she want with a nerd like me other than to haul me into a girl's locker room and rip my clothes off? That's all he was thinking about. And he was in for one hell of a prank. Basically, once he is nude, he is filmed. He's also prodded in the crotch with a javelin. He's electrocuted. He gets his head dunked into a toilet. The coach walks in and catches on to what's going on. And very much in kind of the fashion of Carrie, the group of kids are given PE-related detention. So you'd think that would be enough to put the end to it, but not really, no. Skip, as well as another boy from the group, both sneak out, and they, as a peace offering, give Marty a joint, which he stupidly accepts. And while working on his chemistry project, obviously he's in there smoking and working with chemicals, he happens to get sick because apparently the joint was laced with something. So while he's in the men's room yarking, they're actually in the chemistry lab rigging something up to blow up in his face, which he comes back unknowing about this, and it does explode in his face. What no one anticipated was that during Marty's panic, he would knock over a Bunsen burner, and as he's frantically trying to stop the fire, a jar of chemicals is knocked over onto him, which happens to be acid. It disfigures his face. From here, we actually skip to the 10-year class reunion. Pretty much everyone has met back up, but what they don't realize is that the school has pretty much been closed. It's condemned, and it's set to be torn down in a couple of days. So quite a few people just ask one another if it was somewhat of a prank. Of course, everyone denies it, and no one really knows what's going on. They kind of hang around all day. Carol, I guess you could say, who was the more clever from the group, suggested that they should just go to a local bar, hang out, and catch up. They really don't want to do that. They decide to break into this condemned school just to hang out, and they actually happen to find a welcome banner as well as various drinks. The room that they're in actually happens to have specifically their old lockers as well as items that they thought which had been lost. And by this point, I don't know, I think I would have just been creeped out and wanted to get out of there, but I don't know, these numbskulls just hang around and I have no idea what their problem is, but they stick around, and as midnight nears, Carol as well as another girl decide to play a joke on Skip. So they trick him into wanting to earn $10. So in order to do this, he has to balance a quarter on his forehead. They place a funnel into the waist of his pants, so he leans his head back, and once he straightens his head, he catches the quarter with the funnel. He has to do this twice. On the second attempt, while he isn't looking, they actually pour a drink down his pants. So he's obviously kind of slightly riled up, wondering what the big deal is, and they remind him it's April Fool's Day. So he kind of backs off, and the funny thing is nobody thinks to question this, because this kind of ties back to the beginning of the film, because the original prank from 10 years prior had also happened on April Fool's Day. This also happens to have been Marty's birthday, so that was probably a terrible birthday. After this, Skip just kind of asks one of the guys in the group to chug a beer, which he does. Who's going to turn down a beer, right? Unfortunately, something happened to have been in the beer, and his intestines kind of come pouring out of his stomach. So this is when they kind of start figuring out, well, something weird's going on. Someone from the group tries to borrow Carol's car to just go off and get help, and the assailant was actually hiding in the back seat of the vehicle and stabs him. So from there on, people just kind of gradually start dropping off. You have a tractor fall on a guy. There's a woman who bathes in acid. You also have a fornicating couple who are electrocuted. And my first question here is, it's an old abandoned high school, so we assume it's been closed for a while. There's nothing that has been changed or altered in any way. What the hell is a bed doing there? What do they teach in that school? So anyway, by this point, we're pretty much down to the last two girls. Nancy, who was one of the remaining women, happens to fall into a cesspool and is pushed back in by the assailant. Carol, who is the last remaining person, finally gets to see the villain unmasked. And obviously it's who everyone assumed it was. It was Marty getting his revenge. So from here, we actually, after her scene, we cut to Marty waking up screaming in his hospital bed, and we realize the entire thing was a dream. He, of course, does escape, and the film just kind of cuts on him removing his bandages, and we do see some of the results of the acid, but I really do think it was a great film. Probably definitely underrated, and to my knowledge it still has yet to get a Blu-ray release. It's only been released on DVD 3 times by Lionsgate as part of a lost collection type deal. It was also released on a 4-movie set, which I believe also contained My Best Friend's a Vampire, Repossessed, and Silent Night, Deadly Night. It was also, I believe, in 2011 released again as part of a 8-film collection. It has also received a special edition DVD release from Arrow Video, which I haven't had a chance to check out, but I've heard really great things about it. So a couple of things that I did find interesting about Slaughter High is the original working title was April Fool's Day. Of course, the producers later found out that that same year Paramount was releasing a film called April Fool's Day, so the title was changed to Slaughter High in order to avoid confusion. And to my knowledge, the only country that has ever had copies of this film released under its original title is Japan. Another thing that I definitely found interesting was that actress Carolyn Monroe was actually 36 when she was playing this high school kid, and she really doesn't look bad. She's a very beautiful woman. You can definitely tell she's not high school age, but it wasn't obvious to me how much past her high school years she was when she made this film, but who cares? Sadly though, one of the actors who worked on this film did not get to see the release, which was Simon Scudmore, who played Marty. He committed suicide a few weeks after production had wrapped up. But that is pretty much all I have for you guys today, and I will talk to you later.